every time there seems to be steps forward, followed by a few steps back. It doesn't even affect me. I feel like I just see the player base kind of declining, getting frustrated with this. So I just wanted to bring it up again. I love this game. I care about this game deeply. I enjoy making content on this game. I just want everyone to enjoy it as much as I do.
And I'm saying, man, I just feel bad. I feel it doesn't feel good. I feel like I'm getting duped. You know, they pick what's in the cache. So I don't even get to pick my own cards. I feel like I actually was excited to go and open the collector's track, get my tokens, go to the token shop, buy a Series 4 card for 3K. I don't have to spend too much money. I'm just buying the season pass, playing the game, having fun. And I feel like the Spotlight cash system has sucked that away from me, and it just doesn't feel quite as good.
Most of it money-based, right? Mastery's coming, guys. And I skipped like 4, but Mastery's coming, guys. Awesome. Hey, how cool would it be to have Deadpool and you get, whatever amount of power on a Deadpool, and that's going to be your card mastery. This is what was teased to us. Oh my god, that's so cool. How fun is that? What a great way to have just a good gameplay loop. Oh, just kidding. It's canceled. Wait, just kidding. It's going to come back and be fully about money. It's mind effing boggling.
The year is 2022, and at the Game Awards, Marvel Snap has just won Mobile Game of the Year, despite not officially launching until October 18th. Equipped with gripping aesthetics and unique, fast-paced gameplay, many players thought that this game had the potential to be their new hobby for decades to come. Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, and Hearthstone all still somehow managed to remain relevant after all these years. And some would argue that Marvel Snap is actually better than all of those legendary titles. Some would say that Marvel Snap is the greatest card game of all time. But what happens when the company who crafted this masterpiece never wanted to make a fun, competitive, and deep strategic beauty at all? What happens when they just wanted to assemble a vehicle, a collection simulator, to extract as much money as possible from their players? I'm No Big Deal, one half of the Super Snap Bros, and if you'd allow me, I'd like to tell you about the time when a pay-to-win mobile gacha game slop company accidentally created the greatest card game ever. Especially for those who didn't play the game, you might be wondering, what makes this game so special? It's clear that Second Dinner, the company who made Marvel Snap, set out to create a digital card game that replicates great ideas from previous titles while mitigating to outright eliminating downsides that come with almost all turn-based games. The first thing that stands out is that there are 6 turns, and both players play each turn at the same time. After a short timer has concluded, or both players click end turn, then the cards are automatically revealed on the board. This avoids any solitaire type of instance where, for example, the player who's going second has to wait sometimes 10 or even over 20 minutes for the first player to simply complete their turn. As seen here in this clip of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel, this is just an average duel that could easily take much longer, especially in person, and not when it's been fast forwarded on a replay as seen here. But just look at how many actions are made before the first player's turn is even over. In Marvel Snap, however, each game is guaranteed to be short and fast-paced by design. But just because the card text is simple and easy to understand, and the games are short, doesn't mean that the game lacks depth either. In Marvel Snap, you need to win 2 out of 3 separate locations, and you only have 6 turns to do so. On top of that, you are only limited to playing 4 cards in each location, no more than that. Simply having the most powerful cards, or playing on curve, or playing the most cards isn't always good enough. Where you play your cards matters. And where you play your cards varies every game, as the locations that you play them in are randomly generated from a large pool. Each location has its quirks that benefits certain cards and punishes the others. This level of variance makes it so that no one Marvel Snap game feels like an exact copy of another, and keeps it fresh and fun. Not only do the locations, decks, and players you play against vary, but so do the stakes. Marvel Snap actually has some of the best and most simplified elements of poker of all games added to it. If you feel good about your chances, you can snap and double the stakes of the game. Then if your opponent also snaps, that doubles the stakes once again. The lowest stakes of snap games are 1 cube, and this goes all the way up to 8 cubes, meaning you'll climb the ladder 8 times as much if you win an 8 cube game. But also, it is absolutely backbreaking to lose an 8 cube game as well. These massive swings add an adrenaline rush like no other non-gambling games available. All of these things and more, such as the beautiful artwork from the Marvel IP, and the fact that the game is easy to understand and difficult to master, creates a fast-paced, deep, unique experience unlike any other in the card game space. These points showcasing just how fun this game is why players and content creators are so passionate about the monetization system. Many players are happy and willing to pay the $10 USD per month for the season pass, as long as that allows them to collect most of the cards in Marvel Snap reliably. Second Dinner, however, has some other ideas.
まずはシンプルにえぐいセール、それも期間限定。有料の一歩目って一番ハードル高いから、そこを踏み出してもらうのが大事なの。そっから先はいろんなガチャの仕掛け。
Okay, we got 200 credits, 40 Magneto boosters, 200 credits, 20 Groot boosters, 200 credits, 30 Moon Girl boosters, a new avatar, 200 credits. Wait, what? We didn't get Foster? How did we not get Jane Foster? It says guaranteed 4-star reward. Is this not a 4-star reward?
What we just witnessed was Second Dinner's first attempt at a limited time monetization strategy called Nexus events. In the previous clip, we just saw Dara spend 1,800 gold and get a big old bag of trash in return. This in-game currency translates into about 23 real US dollars to obtain. Essentially, $23 just went into the slot machine, only to come up empty. The goal is to unlock new cards, Jane Foster and Destroyer, as seen on the screen. According to Dara's calculations, it would cost you 148 US dollars on average to unlock Jane Foster, one card, and $122 if you already had Destroyer unlocked already. This event generated massive backlash from the player base, and we wouldn't see anything else quite like this for years, but more on that later. Overall, however, the pre-global launch era of Marvel Snap was seen as a success. Aside from winning Mobile Game of the Year in 22, in the actual game, Second Dinner was releasing fun, interesting, and iconic cards in the reasonably priced season pass at $10 USD per month. Cards like Daredevil, Black Panther, Miles Morales, and Nick Fury were trickling into the game on a regular basis, and the vibes at the time were very strong. Second Dinner placed their hand on the stovetop, got burned, and seemed to learn their lesson. $10 a month is acceptable. $148 single cards was not gonna work. But there was a fundamental monetization problem already brewing beneath the surface of Nexus events. Because these events happened before the game had officially launched, the majority of the Marvel Snap player base was yet to even download the game yet. You see, in Marvel Snap, you don't exactly get to choose which cards you want to add to your collection. The only time that you got full agency at this time in 2022 through early 2023 was with the Season Pass. A Season Pass that again costed real money. When a card like Daredevil is in the Season Pass, it's okay. He's a cool addition to your collection, but you'll be able to compete on the ladder without him, no problem. But what happens when they release a card so unbelievably broken that if you don't spend real money, you have an absolutely miserable experience playing the game? And then once Second Dinner has collected their pound of flesh from you, the card is then subsequently nerfed in the next balance patch. We have long moved past Nexus events at this point, but this new monetization issue was about to reach a boiling point. Heading into 2023, the game was in a great place. Nexus events were now a disaster from the distant past, and Marvel Snap was peaking. Whenever a Season Pass card came out once a month, depending on your playstyle, you could decide whether or not to pick it up for $10. But in December 2022, everything changed. Second Dinner wanted you to buy the Season Pass. They needed you to do it, and they weren't pulling any more punches. Silver Surfer was completely busted upon release and was sitting behind a $10 paywall. The amount of power that this card output for the small price of 3 energy was nothing Marvel Snap had ever seen up until that point. The card Mr. Fantastic, for example, was a high power 3 cost card at this time. If you play him in the middle location, he will give you 6 power for 3 cost. This was slightly above rate at the time. Silver Surfer on a bad draw could easily get you 9 power, 50% more than Fantastic. On a good draw, he could get you 18 power, maybe even 36, and perhaps even beyond that. Him giving 3 power to every 3 cost card on the board was absolutely ridiculous and made his deck completely overpowered. But Second Dinner's greed was insatiable. They got a taste of money and they just couldn't help themselves. They were about to unleash hell on the entire player base. When designing Marvel Snap, the developers put a massive power increase from 3 to 4 cost cards. 1 to 3 cost cards generally give you somewhere between 1 and 6 power. At 4 cost at the time, you could play Darkhawk and get around 13 to 15 power. The idea was, since there are only 6 turns in Marvel Snap, even though these 4 cost cards are significantly more powerful than the 1, 2, and 3 cost cards, you'd rarely ever get to play 2 4 cost cards in the same turn. Enter Zabu. Zabu made it that not only could you play 2 4 cost cards on the same turn, but on turn 6 you could now play 3 of them. That's right, in January of 2023, Zabu reduced the cost of 4 cost cards by 2. Many players over the years have argued that Zabu, on release, was the most powerful card in the history of Marvel Snap. Even if you didn't have a full card collection, you could play Zabu with cheap starter 4-cost cards and beat down any non-Zabu, non-Surfer deck. Pay the $10, acquire Surfer, acquire Zabu, or lose all of your games. The overwhelming power creep from these two cards caused both of these cards to promptly get nerfed in February, and that left a bad taste in some players' mouths. They just paid $20 to acquire these cards. They are finally winning games and climbing the ladder, only to have them immediately nerfed thereafter. This problem was unfortunately unlike Nexus events, because it was never going away. We'd see the season pass power creep get completely out of hand with Loki and Elsa Bloodstone being released, for example. And unlike Zabu and Surfer, Loki was never properly addressed in the balance patches for months and months. So perhaps you are wondering, well, okay, that's just a season pass, but aren't there other cards in the game? There can't be only season pass cards releasing once per month, right? Well, some of the other meta-defining cards in Marvel Snap can be very expensive to acquire as well. Season pass power creep was annoying. It created horrible metagames and neutered any real deck diversity on the ladder. However, only $10 in order to buy into these S-tier deck archetypes was a small price to pay, relative to other card games out there. But there were plenty of other meta-defining cards in the game. They were much more expensive and classified as Series 5. Series 5 cards, along with all other unowned cards, were randomly generated one at a time in the token shop, rotating every 8 hours. If a Series 5 card was displayed for that 8-hour interval that you were interested in, you could then, for that limited time, purchase that card for 6,000 tokens or pin it later when you've acquired those resources. As Educated Collins is teaching us here at the time, once you've grinded the game for a few months and acquired all of the Series 3 cards, it takes around 36 days to naturally acquire a Series 5 card free to play. This is assuming you log in every single day, multiple times a day, and complete your daily missions. To pay for convenience in the microtransaction shop, at the time it would cost roughly $80 to generate the 6,000 tokens necessary to purchase your desired Series 5 card. 3 Series 5 cards were being released into the game per month, and at most, you could acquire one of them being fully free to play. To acquire all of them as they were released, you'd have to 1. Grind daily missions every day, 2. Pay the $10 season pass subscription fee, and 3. Pay at least $160 every month just to acquire all of the cards. Players were not happy with having to pay $148 for Jane Foster during Nexus events, and they sure as hell didn't want to pay over $170 per month just to acquire all of the Series 5 cards as they were coming out. Some players were upset about this, but many players and content creators had recognized a pattern. Every 3 months, all Series 4 and 5 cards would drop into the lower series. Series 4 cards only costed 3,000 tokens, half as much as Series 5 cards, and Series 3 cards costed only 1,000 tokens, which was 1/6 the price of a Series 5 card. Also, Series 3 cards were randomly acquired through naturally playing the game for free and opening packs. Basically, if you'd be patient and wait 6 months, or wait 3 months for a massive discount, these cards were obtainable after all without having to spend the $170 per month plus required to maintain a full collection. One Second Dinner had realized that many players had optimized their card acquisition strategy to the point where they were acquiring almost all of the cards in the game for the low cost of $10 per month and a little bit of patience, they got to work on inventing an entirely new system that would make this strategy impossible. In October of 2023, the nefarious Spotlight cash system was introduced into the game. This, in my opinion, was the beginning of the end of Marvel Snap as we knew it. The point of no return. This was the point where Second Dinner definitively decided that no customer, you will not acquire all of our cards for the low price of $10 per month. A line was drawn in the sand. We'll make you pay more money in the most sketchy and convoluted way possible. Spotlight caches were a departure from the old token shop. Mathematically, as a system on their own, compared to the token shop, it was actually cheaper to acquire Series 4 and 5 cards through the Spotlight cache system than the token shop. However, this was a shell game Second Dinner was playing with us, and they added this new shiny toy called the Spotlight cache system, and it disguised some major benefits that were now taken away from us. One that we were made aware of quickly was the fact that we no longer were given any real token-based awards playing the game naturally for free. You used to regularly accumulate hundreds of tokens throughout the week, and this was no longer the case. The main issue, however, was that we would no longer be getting series drops. This was never communicated to the community at all. Even to this day, if you ask Google AI if regular series drops will be coming back to the game, their answer is, while it's not a definitive no, it seems series drops in Marvel Snap are currently paused, and there's no set schedule for their return. The developers at Second Dinner have been experimenting with other methods of card acquisition. So say a broken card is released into the game, and it's a Series 5 card. It's one of the most powerful cards ever released. Well, now the players can pretty much expect that it will never be out of Series 5. It'll likely never drop, though we don't know that for sure, and we have no idea if it will ever be available via the Spotlight cache system either. Oh, and by the way, remember when you used to be able to acquire them for free after grinding for 36 days? Well, now that's not the case at all either. Pay money or get left behind. And instead of paying $10, the price of the brick has gone up drastically. Going into 2024, the community sentiment on card acquisition was dwindling by the month. The card design team and the balance team were breaking their backs, carrying Second Dinner with stellar new card ideas and frequent interesting balance patches. But they could only carry for so long, as Second Dinner's greed grew stronger by the quarter. Second Dinner had continued to express to the community that they still felt like card acquisition needed a lot of work, and they planned on improving it moving forward. They felt as though the Spotlight cache system was underwhelming overall, and they wanted to showcase new and exciting ways to acquire cards. Second Dinner once again dusted off their classic playbook. Dangle a shiny carrot in front of the community, and then try to gut their wallets on the back end. The player base has been in decline for a while now, so they needed something to reel them back in. They juiced up active user numbers, tried to get them hooked onto the mobile monetization hamster wheel yet again, and then executed one of their slimiest schemes to date. But how did they get players to come back after years of abuse? Snap packs. Snap packs came in late April of 2025. Now I personally had already quit the game at this point, so I'll have Rez Snapper give a brief explanation of what I'm referring to here.
Your existing Spotlight keys will convert into collector tokens. They'll become 3,000 collector tokens each. So you're getting tokens, And with those tokens, you can either buy snap packs or you can buy individual cards from the shop. So if there is a specific card you want, you can just buy it outright. And there's different kinds of snap packs that will be available. Let's talk about the two spiciest ones first, okay? These are seasonal snap packs. This is the newest cards in the game, and they cover cards from the current season and the previous season. So basically the two most recent seasons. For example, if you open snap packs on the first week of the new X-Men season in May, you may get Surge, or you'll get one of the other cards that you don't own from the What If season. There is duplicate protection inside snap packs, so you cannot open a card that you already own. You can also get seasonal Series 4 snap packs, which is Series 4 cards, again, from the current season and the previous season.
Sounds pretty great, right? All of those pesky spotlight keys from the old stained spotlight cash system were now converted into tokens, just like before. And we can reliably purchase the newly released cards in the game without getting duplicates. No more lighting an expensive spotlight key on fire only to be blessed with your 76th null variant. After years of backlash and turmoil, Marvel Snap had finally seemed to figure out a monetization system that was great for the players and the company. Snap packs were an instant hit with the community. Players loved this new monetization system, and for the first time in my life, I was reading from the community. Monetization is actually good now. So, we're acquiring collector's tokens, using those tokens to purchase new cards at a reasonable price with no slot machine duplications. What's not to like, right?
You can't keep getting away with it! He can't keep getting away with it! He won't.
Kid Omega was released in June of 2025. All of these new and exciting ways that Snap Packs had monetized the game went completely out the window for this card. In order to acquire Kid Omega, you'd have to engage in the new limited time game mode, High Voltage. This was completely separate from the rest of the game, and it's better to have KM Best explain it fully, so strap in.
Now, if you've been living under a rock, Kid Omega is Marvel Snap's recent limited time game mode card. There are a couple of details about its pricing that make it awkward and hard to understand. The first of those things is that it costs 9,000 gold, but you can earn a discount on it by playing the entirety of the game mode. If you play the entirety of the game mode, complete all your quests, which refresh every 8 hours, and some of which are bugged, collect all of your free volts, some of which don't show up in your inbox, you will be able to purchase Kid Omega for 2,000 gold. In addition, once the event is over, Kid Omega will not be going straight to the Series 5 packs. He will only be going into Series 5 packs on July 16th, a month after the event started. This means that there will be a period of about 3 weeks where people will be wholly unable to purchase Kid Omega by any means. In addition, he is not currently available for tokens. The only way to purchase him is with gold. The original statement said you can get gold from other game modes, but that's just much less true than it is of tokens. Gold is far less a free-to-play currency in the amounts required to get Kid Omega than tokens are. People get 3,000 tokens on the collection track. They're not getting 3,000 gold, despite the fact that gold converts into tokens at a negative rate, meaning technically gold is worth less than an equivalent amount of tokens. That is very clearly not happening here. So what this is the most expensive card in the game. It is exclusively available to people who are paying money, and it is only available to those people right now, meaning that in 4 or 5 days, even if you pay money, you won't be able to get the card. The reason I compare this to Nexus events is because they share a similar underlying dynamic. That dynamic being paid exclusivity. And I think that is at the root of many of Marvel Snap's failed monetization ideas.
It's as Drew Berry professed back in early 2024. Every time there seems to be steps forward, followed by a few steps back. Snap packs converted spotlight keys into tokens. All new cards can be purchased with tokens, except Kid Omega. You had to use gold, and the only real reliable way to acquire gold was with real money. If you wanted to buy the card outright, it would cost 9,000 gold, as which you can see here converts to about 115 US dollars for Kid Omega. What an absolute disaster.
Sort of community outrage moments. And I don't know that we've ever got a big win in Marvel Snap, but we've usually pulled it back some, you know? We've usually gotten some return. They've met us, if not quite halfway, 30% of the way or something, right? Like they've come back a little. But this time, Friday when they put out a statement finally regarding all of this, it basically said, no, we're not walking it back this time. We actually think this is what we wanted to do. We achieved our goals. And they basically said like, hey, we just didn't set expectations well. So instead of saying like, yeah, we pushed it too far, they're like, we didn't warn you that we were going to push it this far, but this actually is what we want it to be. And that caught me off guard, right? That was like, oh, hey, wait a minute. This is the first time, at least for, I think, a major event, or at least the first time I'm remembering anyway, where they didn't say, hey, crap, we screwed up. Like Nexus events, you know, was the first big one, and they really said, hey, we screwed up, and they reworked everything. Still wasn't great, I don't think, as a result, but you know, they even like make fun of it in the game and stuff, and they showed some real contrition around pushing things too far and asking too much of the player base. I thought that was gonna happen again. Maybe a little less over time, but I thought we were still doing that song and dance, and then it just didn't happen this time. And that just, man, that like took the wind out of my sails.
Like, I think that Marvel Snap is at its core an incredible game, and it would be heartbreaking to think that they've pulled resources off of the game where they could be creating something that could do what Hearthstone's done for over a decade or whatever, right? This is a game that could have been an absolute like just a perpetual player in the card gaming space. It has the gameplay. It plays the best more than anything else. It's truly revolutionary in that standpoint. And the thing that always got me excited about Marvel Snap is it always felt like it learned the lessons from games that came before, to the point where like playing some other games, like they feel slow. You don't have the same excitement playing specific cards. The art doesn't stand out the way Snap does. Like Snap really does a lot of stuff great. And I think that's another core thing here. And another, if second dinner's listening, another core element or pillar of as to why there's so much frustration. You've got an incredible game. All you had to do was not screw up everything else. Like that's kind of the crux of it. Like you have a game that plays great, looks great, fantastic IP. It is universally regarded as one of the best card games to sit down and play. And you found every opportunity to just walk your consumer base away. And I think that's really frustrating, especially as someone who's a creator like all of us, to watch people that like we care about and we interact with on a daily basis say, like, get messages saying, you know what, like I'm done, I can't do anymore. That's heartbreaking. That's heartbreaking. That's, you know, years of relationships we built with people that are now just disintegrating in front of our eyes because you want to make a couple extra bucks on some stupid card and some limited time game mode. That ultimately, like, who cares? You know what I mean? You had something great, and I think it got, I don't know, they just got lost along the way at some point.
So, where does that leave us? I think a wise man once said, it do be like that sometimes. Second Dinner always planned on peddling their mobile game slop bullshit to the masses. At what point do I stop ranting about it on a podcast for 2 hours every week for 2 years straight? Not all stories have a happy ending, but not all endings are tragic either. Marvel Snap is still a fantastic game to this day, and still retains at least some player base who experiences that. The monetization of the game is repulsive and likely always will be. Some things just are what they are. You have the power to accept it and deal with it, but you also have the power, if you so choose, to simply walk away. Thank you for watching.